Hey guys, Capricorn King here, and I'm coming to you with the knowledge to induce a more conducive state in your lives. I'm trying a different angle today on the camera, a different position, because things have to be cyclic. Because how would you know if the first angle and the first position of my camera lens, through the camera lens, in which it is conceiving to then project to you guys, how would you know if that was a better place without the contrast of the other, without a cyclical phase of intervals? There you go. A good quick dash of an analogy to how our lives operate in dualistic plane of this existence. Anyway, today's topic is going to be about this full moon that's coming up. This full moon that is on its way. I want to talk about full moons just generally. It seems to be a very hot topic on YouTube right now. But full moons, to me, they represent more than just each moon we seem to put emphasis on. Each moon that comes up and the dynamical variables to what that's going to induce in us. In fact, it doesn't induce anything at all. It's trying, all these full moons do is, and I'm going to go into more intricate detail, all these full moons do is illuminate things in us that have always been there, whether that's negative or positive, to try and find a converged balance, to revert a reversion back into congruent state of being, which is a natural state of being. But we're being manipulated and we're being tampered with quite heavily. So all these full moons do is completely, it's like it becomes augmented, which means an amplification and under the magnifying glass of things that you might be repressing that aren't actually you or a part of you. False identifications. So all these things, it's very simple. We need to keep it simple. We can philosophize all day and use all these words and all these things and all whatever. All these planets, which are just planes, just like the planet Earth that we're currently on, which is a set, more of a set state of being. It's static, it's dielectric, and from a dielectric plane it creates an inertia and it goes round toroidally, like a toroidal torus field, in and of itself. And these other planets are just a part of you, they're implicit in you. So is the moon. But these full moons, you see, the thing is, what they do is, because it's an integral part of what we all are collectively, even to state the word collectively infers that there's different separable parts that are aggregating into one whole. It is the whole. It is the being of the whole of what it is. Just different parts reflecting itself. Not even that, it's more simple than that. It is just the source consciousness. The one thing. The illusion is everyone's on different resonances and it varies. That's the only difference. Energy is the difference. We're not on one congruent tangent energetically, so it seems like we're separate. But people are just showing parts of more of you what you need to see, and as are they you, vice versa. But let's keep this simple. So the full moons, the one coming up is, I think it's Leo eclipse or something like that. I don't really care, but yeah, these full moons wouldn't create such a state within us if we knew who we was. If we knew what we actually was, there'd be no inner work. There'd be nothing to work through. But we're hanging on. The ego seems indomitable at the moment. And the ego is very powerful. It can be if you choose to feed the ego over the soul, and that's in everything. That's in all the intricate details and the variables concerning that, like the food you eat, the food you choose to eat, the people you choose to associate with, the subcircle of friends, oscillating magnetic fields, and all these words. But your biorhythms some can be like have a deleterious effect on someone else, which means more of a having inducing something inimical if you're around a biorhythm that's not on the resonance you are, and it feels like in a state of lack again, which is the ego. Everybody's going for ego trouble. Now, these full moons completely illuminate these parts of us, parts of what we think we are. We're thinking our way into thinking what we are. To think is not omniscience, it's not knowing. Okay? The brain is where they've attacked and infiltrated. They've infiltrated the mind. Neurologically malleable externally. We've exteriorized it. So these full moons show all this. You've got to remain in the heart though, and really take love there, and love for you, because that's omniscience and that's centered. But these full moons show us these things. False identities, falsifications, anything really, anything that's there that's not you or what you are. It will secrete. A secretion process begins, and you're trying to hold on to certain things, certain patterns, certain habitualized stagnant ways that need invoking out of you, whether it's negative or positive. It doesn't matter. Two ends of the same spectrum, diametrically opposed, and they're integral. We're being polarized. The mind has two hemispheres. My hemispheres have been split. The ego's a part of that, swaying from one end to the other, erratic, not centered. When you're erratic, and I've said this in another video, it creates friction and resistance, which is heat, which is uncomfortability. It's the ego, it's fire, it burns everything. It'll burn you out, completely burn you out. So you've got to be careful. We need to recenter and know what we are. So these full moons do that, and the full moon corresponds to, I think it's the Muladhara chakra, if I pronounce that correctly, not sure, chakra. Indians call them chakras, there's many of them, but there's 7 main ones, which correspond to the moons and the planet, the sun. And them varying forms of planes and stuff like, and them are some are more luminescent than others and more etheric, which means not as solidified like what we're condensed to into this carbonized structure of planet Earth, plane of inertia, toroidal fields, which we're temporarily encapsulated within as an sensory experience. It's like the light, it's not trapped. These words are very negative, but then again there's no negativity, because that's dualism. So we don't want to induce that into our minds right now, but we have to use these words that represent what we're trying to say from the heart. And these planets are planes within you, layers within you, that you can access while you're here, and you can be liberated. And these full moons try to do this one by one. Some will be more affected than others because they haven't gone through as much processing and realizing more of what they're not and what they are. But these, the one coming up, I've felt and heard also, which resonated with how I felt, with what I felt was coming up, is going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. But when people speak about it, they speak about it as if it is the exterior. And if they speak as if it's an objective externalization, like it's something happening other than what we are, other than us, when it is us. So these full moons will only, if you're having problems with the ego, it can, and you're holding on to who you think you are, because who, again, I'll reiterate this, who is an identity, an identification. You have no identity. That is the stratified illusion of this. It's being arranged into strata, everyone has. That's how the mind works. It's polarized. It works in me, you and other. It works in that. It works with them dynamics, the illusion. And distinctions. And this is not what's going on. That's not the actuality. That's just a reality that's being inculcated in us to re-reflect that as if it's an actuality for us when it's not. It becomes a subjective, pervasive consensus of what we think we're going through when it's not what we actually are. So these full moons will illuminate this, and they will exacerbate. They'll exacerbate a state if you try and think your way out of thinking what you think you are. Think, which is a thing which just proliferates more and more in and of itself, because it can't attenuate what itself from the thing that it created itself from. It's about letting go now and really feeling what we are and taking that with us on these full moons. Full moons have different effects because they're in different areas of the astronomical chart and the star systems, the constellations and all that, certain alignments. So certain things will illuminate certain things in all of us, but it's all constitutes of itself. And I will say again, if we didn't have any egoic issues, these moons wouldn't have any effect at all. And another point, the planets that correspond to the organs within you. An organ is something. What's an organ? Something that emits a frequency, sound, vibration, different forms of it. That's all it all is. That's all it constitutes of. It's very simple, and it's just going through the layers of that. And yeah, if you think, that's one point, and I'm going to revert back to another point as well. If you're thinking all the time when these full moons occur, and you're thinking, that will just, oh my god, it will exacerbate it, and you won't be able to reduce that in any way. So just be calm and centered, introspect heavily, deeply. Remember, you're just love. That's all you are. That's your true emanation. We've just been subsumed neurally in the mind into other realities that aren't allowing the permeation into the high calibration of what you are, which is just love. So go easy on yourselves, please. It has a collective effect also on everybody else, because everyone's emitting energy and it permeates, becomes pervasive. Some of us know how to fortify it more than others if you're a heavy spiritual practitioner, but we're still affected. We're still affected by it. So don't think, but don't try not to not think. Just be in a meditative state. And if you're not meditated yet, look up how to. Thoughts are transient and they can just dissipate. Don't give them attention. Again, the old cliched saying, where attention goes, energy will flow. So if you give the thoughts attention, yes, you will bring them up as if they're a part of what you are when they're not. So be in a meditative state when these full moons come up. By the way, do you like my candles? You see the moon there depicted on the candle? I'm subliminally getting into your mind about this full moon with my candles. They're black as well, and they correspond to my sun sign, which is Capricorn. Capricorn King, here with you. That's why I like wearing black. I'm attracted to black. Receptive. Capricorn's it's cardinal. It's cardinal. It moves. It's got impetus, but it's very receptive. Feminine energy. So black is receptive. It absorbs, synthesizes, deciphers. Anyways, another video on that. I don't get into sun signs much. I'm just about overall knowledge and wisdom. Crystallize it into wisdom. Keep it fairly simple. So don't think about this too much. And I want to revert back to the point. The moon corresponds to the root chakra, which I've said already, Muladhara, whatever you call that chakra. And this is subsegregation, tribalism. The root chakra corresponds. It's primitive. It's mechanisms, mechanistic structure is survival. That's why everyone's acting like that in society, because they condense you into that and reduce you into that. It's a reductive state into the root chakra. The root chakra is not moving. It's not moving. Nothing's moving up. Nothing's becoming a coiled conduit. We are spiral energy. The Fibonacci sequence is implicit in us. If the chakras get moving, that moves with it. Then they come round, you learn lessons again, and you get more resensitized to things and less desensitized. Things don't affect you as much. We're not moving, we're stagnant. And full moons, if you're stagnant in more of a root chakra, will bring that out for you to move up. And it'll show you these dark parts of the mind, but they're not you. Remember that, they're not you. The moon it corresponds to this, to the root chakra and all these things, and the illusion that it can create, which has been manipulated, yes, exogenously by other sources, but all they've done is inverted a false reality. They can't change anything as much within us. It's just knowing that it's not what you are, and not accepting that subjectively, thinking, oh my god, this is what I am. No, it's not you. And it's for the menstruation cycles of women, where the egg goes round in its cyclic intervals, and then it comes out and it either creates or releases, and the woman releases the blood, and it's the red shift of the blue shift. The blue shift is in the throat chakra, and the red is in the root chakra. Red shift, blue shift. Again, that's a part of this planetary structure, red shift, blue shift. And that's some other esoteric stuff. Santos Bernacchi gets into that. They got us trapped in red shift, blue shift. So we're not traversing the layers into the transcendental abode, which is through into the crown chakra. And it's also split off. And the red chakra corresponds to the menstruation cycle. And you either have a child and create something, then the gestation process begins, and the full moon secretes something, and you can grow from it, or is released. So things are released. That's just my take on that. Interesting, isn't it? Right on, it is. So yeah, that's just my take on that, and that just came to me. You either create something or release something, just like the egg, because it corresponds to that, the moon. And the moon has also, in fact I don't want to get into that actually, very sensitive topic about the moon and the moon's manipulation, but that's some deep stuff. keeping this channel very general and varying it, keeping it general, not going to get too deep into things unless it's asked. But my channel's not growing at the moment, but I don't care, because it will happen organically of itself, as it should and when it should be, and it will just be the right time when it does. And I know I need a better camera and better equipment. Not able to do that right now. So yeah, this was just about the moons, the full moons, and what they do, and how that all that operates and how all that works. I mean, a lot of people tend to, what's the word for it, inebriation, where you numb yourself and get drunk on full moons. We have a proclivity to do this, and a susceptibility to that, to intoxicate ourselves when they come round. I've done it once before, it did not feel right. It will only delay, it will delay it, because it'll numb it, and that's only a transient numbing, and then you will have to face it anyway. So you're best off just going through it in an introspective state of being, and just realise that none of it's you. Eat some good healthy sources of food, some live enzymes, some fruits, some good vegetables on that day. Light incense sticks. Make the frequency not as dense in your household or wherever you are, so it's not as, so it can, so it's more so you're more versatile to the situation that you're currently experiencing, so it doesn't have to be as difficult for you. I don't know what else to say. I think I've covered a lot of what I wanted to say. Actually, the lightings are not great either on this video, but hey, I shall get there. So yeah, just breathe. Remember, breath is intention, because breath implies this realm, the on and off, yin and yang, interfusions of the symbiotic polarizations which create an infusion and a conduit into the higher domains and dimensions. Remember that, to remember yourself to what you are. Breathe. It's in the breath. Without breath you wouldn't be. It is this projection of sensory experience. Just remember that too. Implement that also. So guys, that's pretty much it from me with the full moon. How many times have I said that in this video? Quite a lot. It's really deeply ingrained in you. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm done now. Capricorn King here. If I get any more messages coming through, because I do operate through divination and through the other realms, prophetic lights, which is higher realms, and things do come through me, and I'm a transmitter for it sometimes. But right now, it's done. I'm out, guys. Thank you. All out and all love.